Okay, so it's another piece of furniture I've got to paint. Um, this is a cabinet off one of my customers. Um, I've painted a lot of furniture for her actually, and it's all gone satin wood magnolia, and it comes up really well. Looks great. Now this unit, it's a shop finish. It's been lacquered and it's adhered really well. So basically all it needs is to be sanded down lightly, dusted off, then I'm going to put a coat of white undercoat on there, and then 2 coats of the magnolia satin wood. The handles are getting changed as well. I'll just show you some of the things I'm going to use to sand it down. One of the most important things is your dust mask. You don't want to be breathing in anything off this. They're the new handles that are going on to match the existing furniture she's got in her house, and they'll be going magnolia as well. I've got a sanding block for the flats to keep it nice and smooth, and I've got some P120 sandpaper, nice and fine that is. Well, it's fine enough for what I'm doing for this first bit. The undercoat will get sanded with something a bit smoother. Now that's obviously going to get wrapped onto me sanding block, and then I've got another small piece of sandpaper for doing any of the edges and the moulding, and I'm going to use my flat brush as a duster brush to dust it off. With it being such large surface area, I sometimes use this as a duster brush. So I'll show you a little bit of the process of the sanding, but mainly this video is going to be showing you brush technique. When I put the white undercoat on this, I'll show you certain sections of it. Always sanding with the grain. You know, you want to go with the grain, never go across the grain, it looks awful. And always paint with the grain as well usually. What you're trying to do with this is just to take the sheen off, so the undercoat has a key. If you painted straight over that, it would probably just scratch off. Sometimes you have to give your sandpaper a knockout. Not too bad that. Round under the edges, the moulding, you can use your other piece of sandpaper. Bit. Basically, it repeats that process all over. and then you can give it a dust off. You can see how the sheen's gone off that now, and that's what you want. Once I've sanded it all down and I've dusted it off, I'm going to give it a wipe over with methylated spirits. Leave that to dry, and then you can put your undercoat on. So the unit's sanded now. I'll give it a good dust off, and I'll give it a wipe down with methylated spirits. I've just cleaned my brushes out, which I'm going to use. So I'm going to use a 1 inch and a 2 inch. There's a nice bit of bristle on them. Now, because I'm doing it magnolia, I'm not going to use brilliant white. You only want to use brilliant white when you're using brilliant white gloss on the top. If you're using magnolia, you're better off using white, which there is quite a big difference. So what I'm going to do first of all is make sure it's stirred up. If paint has not been used for a while, it can start separating, so you get the oils on the top and the pigment starts slowly settling. Make sure you give it a good stir up and scrub the bottom. Now it's looking a little bit thick, that, to me, for what I'm going to do, but I'm going to pour some out and then thin it in my pot. Just get some white spirit. Oh, that's plenty of that for me. Just going to see how that does me. When you're adding white spirit to anything, any paint, oil base, add a little bit. Never overdo it, because you can't take it back out. You can always add a little bit extra. That's not so bad. So then the next thing I'm going to do is work my brushes into the paint. There's no point in starting your job and you've not worked your brushes in, because you can see the dry. So what you need to do is work it into the stock by pushing it onto the side and giving it a rub around. Especially when you've cleaned them out with white spirit, sometimes you can get a little bit of white spirit sitting in the stock. And basically repeat the process with my 2 inch. And then I'll show you painting. Okay, I'm ready to start painting this now. Principle is really, I'm going to start at the top and work down. Top first, sides, finish with the doors on the front. With this top, with this, it's got an edge all the way underneath. And what I don't want to do is finish my top, and then as I'm painting that underneath, I'm messing up this front edge. So I do this on windowsills sometimes. I'll always paint the underneath edge first and then finish the sill round. So I'm just going to do around that underneath edge. You can see straight away how the brush is dragging on that front. Perfect timing that, isn't it? It's always the same. It always happens when you're just about to start painting. Right. So you can see how the paint's touched all the edge round, and that's why I like doing that underneath edge first and then finishing the top. Right. Now I did say paint with a grain, but that's when you're laying it off. Because when you're actually putting paint on, sometimes you have to paint in every direction to get it on nicely. And with this having different edges and different angles, it's awkward. Now, your first coat like this, you're never going to get it to cover, so you just don't even try. But what you don't want is to be getting any runs anywhere, and that edge there is quite a difficult one, to be honest. It's not too bad. Too much control. Oh, not liking that. It needs more white spirit. We've got white spirit now. No mistake. Oh, how much stuff. So that's how you know when to add the white spirit. You know, you do a bit, you start, and then it's just not acting the way you want it to act. Let's try it again. Straight away that's got better flow on it. better. That brush has got a bit of an anomaly in it. Doesn't really matter because it's getting 3 coats. So now a coat of this and 2 coats of magnolia. So by the time it's had its 3 coats, it should be nice and solid. It has got a bit of an anomaly, that brush. Sometimes if you've not used a brush in a while, they're not as smooth on the surface. I'm not liking that at all. Never mind. The most important part of this is just trying to get it nice and smooth and even, you know. Don't want that brush at all. Oh my. Right, blimey. Again, that's not too bad because, like I say, it's got to have a light sand down, and it's getting another 2 coats of the magnolia satin wood. So that's not too bad. So I'm onto the front now, and when you're painting anything, it's always worth having a quick look at it and deciding where you want to start first and which bit you want to paint to make life easier. So obviously the handles are going to be the last thing, the knobs, they're going to be the last thing that I paint so I can move things about. I'm not actually doing the whole inside, but I am doing the backs of the doors and the frame just at the front. So to make life easy for myself, I'm actually just going to paint that frame at the back first, and then probably finish with the doors and maybe that skirting bit at the bottom last. Right, I decided not to put bin primer on the hinges. I'm just going to undercoat it because it shouldn't be too bad. Swap to me 1 inch here. Again, there is no easy way of painting this with a brush. You could spray it, but then it's not hand painted, is it? So, saying to somebody, "Oh, it's hand painted," that is a lot better than, "Oh yeah, someone sprayed it." Don't worry about getting the odd little bit of paint here and there on things, because as long as there's no major thick edges, it should all sit nicely when it's all done. Not too bad. Should be able to get that from there now. The camera can probably can't just see this bit at the minute. Never mind. If this was water based, you just wouldn't have time to play about with it. It'd be drying on you, and that's what I don't like. I'll just give you a quick look at that inside edge there. See that? Do let's do this other side here. again, it's all about never trying to drag your brush over the edges of something. You know, every movement is working away from an edge, or you know. Okay. Wipe any thick edges off then. So what I'm going to do is start one of these doors now. Well, it's like any door in a way. You start with a moulding, do the centre, tops, bottom, sides. Can have too much paint on your brush and on a certain part, so you know, make sure you spread it out. It's always about getting the paint on, getting it nice and even, and then laying off. And again, sometimes with water-based paints, you don't even have time to get it on proper before it's actually drying on you, and as you start trying to lay it off, it works it up and doubles up on it and things like that. It's just, I generally don't like water-based glosses. That's not too bad. Can't always get the odd little bit. That's not too bad. You can play about with it too much. And with it only being the first coat, it doesn't matter that it's grainy. All you want is no real thick edges and no runs. I mean, I could have took the doors off to make it a bit easier, but then you've got to messing with screws and you've got to screw them back on, and then you start catching and touching up, and just do it like this. Too bad at all, that. basically that's it. You repeat that process all over the rest of the door. And what I'll probably show you now is the finished item, because basically this was just showing you a few brush techniques and how to prepare a surface that has been lacquered before you put a coat of primer on it, or undercoat really, because there's no need to put primer on this. It's that well prepared. The lacquer, it's like gloss, the surface, so it just needs the sheen taken off, and then you can put your coat of undercoat on and 2 coats of your satin wood. So the next time you'll see this, it'll be finished. Well, I'll show you finished undercoats and then I'll show you the finished job. Okay, so that's the first coat on. Just give you a quick look round it. And the whole idea of this is to get an even coat of paint and all the brush marks in the same direction of which way you want it, because you can't expect to put your first coat on like a primer and scrub it on and do what you want with it and then expect a great finish with your paintwork at the end. Every coat of paint has got to be as good as the last one to get that perfect finish. So I'll show you the finish. Okay, that's the unit finished. Sorry I can't show you a better shot than that, but I thought I'd filmed it and then I put it in the van and realised I hadn't filmed it proper. So there you go, all done. That's not been an easy job in this weather, that.